Hey, this is Comic Picks by the Glick.
And I'm your host, Jason Glick.
Hey, host Jason Glick. Um, well, how's it going?
It's going fine, John. It's like, and hey, guess what?
What?
It's time to get political.
All right. Let's figure this one out then. All right, let's do that. Political.
Yeah, political, because it's time to talk about Captain America once again.
America.
Captain America! Yeah.
So that's what we're going to be talking about. So what about him anyway? Is this a zombie one?
Unfortunately, it's
that's fun. Oh, okay.
It's not the zombie Captain America who's getting his own statue like after this, like his stint in What If as a zombie. Like this is like the actual Captain America who is trying to not be a zombie, who's trying to be relevant to the American, political scene and process for the last couple of years and all. Yeah, and by that means like this run of Captain America I'm talking about is being written by Ta-Nehisi, who, if you'll recall, wrote the run of Black Panther that I talked about like a couple months back. Now, it's like now the takeaway from like his run on Black Panther was basically like a writer who was transitioning in from the from the prose end of the spectrum, someone who had gained a lot of fame for his fiction work and for his essays. It's like, and was now like trying to do comics work. And it's like the first couple of years of his run, took a little him getting used to the format before things really took off. And I can understand that people wanted to write him off before that happened. But I think that once we got to the Intergalactic Empire of Wakanda, that's kind of like when everything clicked, when it really showed like, hey, like paying attention to like these first couple of years really paid off, and now I'm glad that I had been reading it up to this point. And it's like at that point, like Marvel basically had apparently like they apparently felt that he was like doing some good work on that title, so they basically offered him the chance to work on another series. And I don't know if this is like the only series that he was offered or that he wanted to work on, but he wound up getting the job of writing the Captain America series right after the Secret Empire event. Now, Secret Empire, it's like I can understand like some of you may have like wanted to like forget the idea that hey, this is a series about Captain America who'd been like a version of Captain America who had been consumed by Hydra. It's like and was it's like and was basically like leading a fascist takeover of the United States. It's like if you wanted to like forget about that, but well, no, it happened, and that is a core tenet of Coates' run. It's like the very first volume, Winter in America, basically like picks up like from the idea that like that Captain America is it's like his reputation has been tarnished by his apparent tenure as the supreme leader of Hydra. It's like and he's trying to do his best to rehabilitate that by taking out it's like this cadre of like nukes or like warriors who've been engineered to fight for America that have been corrupted by by a terrorist cell like run by Ezekiel Stain. It's like, well, it's like this is like even though like he wins the battle against them initially, it's like, well, then you've got like guys like Thunderbolt Ross. It's like or Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, like the guy's usually fighting like the Hulk. Well, he shows up to like let Captain America know that hey, this is a new day in America. It's like and your bleeding heart friends aren't here to like support you in America right now, because turns out that a lot of people who like a lot of like bad actors in the Marvel universe, it's like we're actually fighting against Hydra. Now, this includes guys like Ross, but also like former Nazis like Wolfgang Strucker. It's like and also one Alexa Lukin. It's like now if you're thinking like who is Alexa Lukin? It's like what's her deal? Well, if you've read Ed Brubaker's run, you may remember a Alexander Lukin, a it's like a Russian political and military player who was basically trying to like like bring back a cosmic cube for his own ends, but also wound up bringing back the spirit of the Red Skull at the same time. It's like in his own body, and well, it's like Winter in America is all about Coates reminding us that hey, with the rise in fascism, like from the Russian end of things, well, it brings back all sorts of uncomfortable things, and with Alexa, just like I'm running the fascist end on her end and bringing in characters like Celine Gallo, the mutant energy vampire who has played a significant role in the X-Men comics over the years. Well, she wants her husband back as well, and well, hey, if he brings back the spirit of the Red Skull at the same time, well, maybe she can use that. But the bigger problem is that it's like well, Winter in America does benefit from the fact that that Coates has a better idea of how to balance his messaging with the superhero action, and also tying it in with his Black Panther run, because as Steve is told to stand down, well, he knows that hey, there's still bad stuff going out there, so why don't I just team up with T'Challa, it's like in his crew to get stuff done. Problem is that as he does this, well, there's all sorts of bad actors who are willing to point to his his actions, which is basically taking down Ezekiel Stain's nuke generating operation. It's like in a small American town, which was basically the the renaissance of the rebirth of last couple of years to basically pass them by. It's and so when Cap shows up to shut down the nuke operation, well, it's he's basically painted as being hey, you're taking jobs away from these good American people. And it's no, he's not. But and that's kind of something that plays into the run overall. It's and much as I was hoping this wasn't going to be the case, but Coates his efforts to bring back the Lucans, it's as the main villains of this run, it kind of also plays into one of the biggest things I didn't like about Ed Brubaker's run on the series, because while he did do a lot of interesting stuff, telling more grounded Captain America stories, establishing Bucky as the new Captain America. Well, he also did a lot of stuff where it's it showed that Captain America was just not quite quick enough on the uptake to figure out what the bad guys were doing. It's the bad guys were always one step ahead of him in Brubaker's run. That's one of the main reasons that I sold half of his run, basically everything that took place after Two Americas, because I just didn't want to read a story where Captain America just lost constantly volume after volume. And you're thinking oh man, Jason, you're this is Captain America who's dealing with the real world and all. It's yeah, I know, but this is Captain America who lives in the Marvel universe, and this also kind of plays into what I want to see from my superheroes specifically from Marvel and DC. They're never gonna much as Marvel wants to pitch the idea hey, the Marvel universe is the universe outside your window. It's it's never going to be that way, because there are no super soldiers living in my world. And so when you've got a Captain America who just constantly loses, it's as a way to show relevance to what's going on in the real world, it's man, that's more depressing than actually interesting. That's why I sold that back half of my run, back half of Ed Brubaker's run, and that's why Coates's work is just kind of is more depressing than anything else, because we've got Captain America who is constantly one step behind what Alexa Lukin and her power elite cadre of supervillains are planning, and it's shown in the second volume, Captain of Nothing, which despite that is actually kind of kind of a step up because it's at its core, it's basically a Captain America in a supervillain prison, type story. And it's like, hey, if I want to see Captain America, fight his way out of a super prison, like mental supervillains, then yeah, it's like that's fine. I was like, and the fact that it's illustrated by Adam Kubert helps as well. Oh, and the first volume was illustrated by Leinil Francis Yu, who guy does great work in whatever series he's illustrating. So these first two volumes have stellar superhero art, regardless. So if you're fans of either artist, then go and check these out. But at the same time, it's like this, it's still the second volume basically has Captain dealing with the fact that he's in the prison for supervillains run by Wolfgang Strucker. It's like, and it's like there's just a solid arc right there. It's like the defense that this is he has to fight prove himself to the bad guys, and also defeat Strucker in one-on-one combat, because Strucker has made a habit of just beating on the inmates just to show that he's strongest of them all, because guy's a Nazi, in case you've forgotten. So yeah, so Captain Nothing is a good solid story. It's and it also reintroduces a certain character from from Cap's past, as part of the Daughters of the Revolution. It's a female centric cabal who dedicated to preserving values of freedom and all. It's that's cool. That's nice and all. But then you get to the subsequent volumes, the Legend of Steve, which all deals with the crisis of the people, the border crisis, in terms of the Marvel Universe terms, which means that there's a cadre of supervillains known as the Watchdogs, who are exploiting undocumented immigrants for their own terms. And then the volume's second half has a confusing mess involving a former villain known a new actor assuming the mantle of Scourge to root out bad fascist police actors in Wilson Fisk's New York. And Wilson Fisk is the kingpin of crime, who's been the mayor of New York for a good long while now. And he's also part of the power elite, and he's working with Alexa Lukin in order to further her agenda. But as Volume 3, Legend of Steve, just never quite comes together in terms of giving a current statement about what should we do about these elements, what's going on with the treatment of undocumented immigrants at the border, or bad actors in the police force. In fact, that's kind of one of the biggest problems I had. Did I already say that? Maybe I did, but it's another biggest problem with this series that I have, in the sense that there are no real solutions promised to these issues these real world issues that are brought up. It's we're just kind of reminded that, hey, these exist, and that, hey, Captain America is tackling individual instances of them in the Marvel Universe. And oh man, it's still kind of depressing, because it doesn't offer the satisfying wish fulfillment of Captain America, quote unquote, solving these problems, but it also doesn't offer any solid real world answers to how these issues can be solved in the world that you and I live in. So it's just really kind of frustrating to read this and realize that hey, you're just being reminded hey, these this stuff that's happening, this stuff at the border, it's with the rise of fascism, it's the bad police actors, it still exists, but Captain America, it's he can only solve fictional isolated version of these. It's can't really do anything else, and it's kind of man, it's so why am I reading this? Why is this why am I reading like just this depressing like take on this? That basically like acknowledges these things, but doesn't offer any like solutions or even like like that like satisfying rush of wish fulfillment in terms of seeing them solved in the like the Marvel universe. So yeah. Oh, and also Volume 3 offers like probably the weakest art of this series because even though Jason Masters is positioned as the like the main artist of this volume, it's like he's only like on for a couple issues and like several additional artists, Sean Izakase, Nico Walter, Bob Quinn, and Lucas Wernick, also contribute to this series, which we implies that hey, maybe there could have been like a lot of like behind the scenes rewriting here, necessitating like 4 additional artists contributing to this volume. But Legend of Seas also basically like marks a point where like Captain America became a series where Marvel wasn't willing to give like A-list artists to it. The next volume, All Die Young, does have one of those artists, Bob Quinn, doing solid work for the first 4 issues, and also one of Coates's Black Panther collaborators, Daniel Acuna, like contributing issues as well, and then the artist who would illustrate the rest of the series, Leonard Kirk, chipping in with issue 25 and then going from then on out. So there's a more coherent artistic vision, but it also doesn't really do anything to alleviate the series' strengths. This is like the volume where the main arc basically involves like Cap, Bucky, and Sam Wilson, like trying to take out Selene, the mutant energy vampire who's working with the Power Elite, and she's apparently like helping foster like traditional American values like in the heartland, basically like reinforcing the idea of the tradition that America, like regular American men, have just been left behind by this new progressive wave, and that like they're going to get back to like building things with their own hands and all. It's like while she also just like sucks the life out of like the ones who just can't deliver. It's like what she asks of them. So there's that. Oh, and also Sharon Carter, who it's like who's been working as part of the Daughters of the Revolution. It's like and is still old after the events of Rick Remender's run. It's like well, she also gets restored to a younger age here, and this is also with the volume where it's like where Alexander Lukin's possession by the Red Skull becomes like is twisted to be more of a tool for Alexa Lukin's plans in terms of like like a fascist rule. It's like in the U.S. And also speaking of Miss Lukin, well, I kept talking about the biggest problems of the series. Well, she's another biggest problem for this series because, well, she's like the kind of villain that I hate. Like, and not just because she represents fascist belief. Like the fact she's Russia, she's like believes in Russian dominance like to the core. Well, she is also the kind of villain who succeeds because the plot demands it. It's like everything that she does in this series, especially even up to this point and beyond into the final volume, feels like it was dictated by the needs of the plot, not because she was clever enough to do it. It's like, and it's like it's just really kind of frustrating to see someone like just succeed because like the plot demands that they succeed. And at the end of the volume, when you think that one character is about to get the drop on her, well, nope. It's like the good news is that character doesn't die at the end of that volume, and we get to see what happens to them in the final volume of Coates' run. This is All Die Young Part 2. And well, it's like it just kind of continues on as you'd expect. It's like it's like the Captain America, Cap and his like crew, the Daughters of Liberty. They try to it's like they think they have a good idea of what the Red Skull, it's like and Lucan's crew are planning, and it turns out they're only playing into what they like what they've got with like this, them trying to defuse this protest by a lot of hate groups. It's like in New York, but oh wait, it turns out that there's this bomb planted on there that's like feeds on hate, and that Skull is going to just use like Captain America's presence there to further his own goals. Wow, what a surprise, man! It's like, oh yeah, hey, it's like the Red Skull's back. It's like, and Captain America is still one step behind him. It's like he's still one step behind everyone here. It's like, and in fact, even when like he gets to the point where it's like, hey, he's going to like like put one over on the Red Skull, it still feels kind of old and simple. And the fact that, hey, it's like all we needed to it's like in order to defeat the Red Skull was just have him admit everything in private so we could like broadcast to the world. Hey, that solves it, right? Well, the series like doesn't. The series it wants to have it both ways, basically acknowledging that yeah, a lot of Red Skull's followers did disavow him after that, but at the same time there are some who just like kept following him there. Oh, and it turns out that Lexa, well, she's dealt with in this volume as well. And on one hand, it's like I can kind of understand like how this would work because it involves Sharon's like sowing some seeds of discontent and disloyalty in it's like it's like in it's like in the ranks of the power elite, but at the same time, it's thoroughly unsatisfying in the sense that at one point she's just like for the entire volume, like she up to this point, like she's just like living her best life, like showing Red Skull's daughter Sin, like what she can do. It's like, and then oh wait, that's it, she's gone. So it's like this villain who was just like been lording it over everyone, just like living, like showing them this running roughshod over them, like showing how her plans are just like like just dominating them. It's like just suddenly stops, and it's like, man, that's not satisfying. I mean, I want to see her lose. I wanted to see her understand that she wasn't as smart and as clever as Captain America and the rest of his crew, and we really didn't get that. And that's kind of like where things end with this series. It's like, yeah, it's like Captain America does kind of win, but he kind of had to win because you can't like end like a Captain America series where he just like loses because like where did that leave him in like the Marvel universe? And that's really just disappointing. I mean, maybe it's understandable giving where where things are in America, where like it kind of like feels like like the forces of democracy are constantly under siege, and maybe that's kind of like the feeling that Coates wanted to leave us with. But I don't know. It's like I get the feeling that maybe he wanted to give us like something even like more stark and depressing, and just let us know like this is where the score is. But in the end, he can't do that because in the end, Captain America is a character who still has to like come back again and sell comics like for the next run, and which has actually yet to be announced because even though we've got like another Captain America miniseries going on right now, there is no current ongoing Captain America series like at the moment or having been announced in the pipeline. And at the same time, it's like, well, I can understand the desire for writers to like take Captain America in a more politically relevant direction. It's like I think that the most relevant takes on him have been in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like with Chris Evans' version of the character, someone who shows him be like shows us the appeal that just like that common decency. It's like can have. It's like and just being and like just being smart and clever enough to take out take out the bad guys. It's like in like in a fairly definitive way, or like in say Rick Remender's run, specifically Castaway in Dimension Z, where Cap was forced to rely on his on his wits, it's like and his wits and his like pure survival instinct. So I like to see more of a Captain America about that, or just give us a Captain America who maybe can actually give us a who can defeat the fascist influences that everyone's talking about these days in a satisfying wish fulfillment manner. It's like
Maybe he
that's
can go back in time and hit up Hitler.
yeah. It's like it's like I wouldn't mind
I think
seeing
that's one
that.
of his first things he ever did, actually.
That first cover, man. It's like him just beating the crap out of Hitler. It's like just show us like a world where he beat up Hitler and then everything was right after that. But that's wish fulfillment, and I think that may actually be more satisfying than what we got here.
Yeah, yeah. All right, then you know what you're going to be talking about next time.
Well, it's like next time I think I have to give a call up to Rob because hey, turns out the latest big X-Men arc, the Hellfire Gala, is all up on Marvel Unlimited. So I gotta like hit up Rob to find out his thoughts in it. And at the same time, I've also got the final volume of Bendis's Superman run. So there's that to consider as well. So in fact, it's like I think I may have like enough stuff to talk about for the remainder of the year, depending on how things go as far as shipping lists and all. So, but those are the two most immediate ones. So there you go.
All right, that sounds great. And we'll catch you next time on Comic Picks by the Glick.
All right, laters.